heartbreakers that have fallen from the life I once knew. In the darkness I'm calling right through to you.
My name's Eve McDougall. I live in North London and I'm going to be 65 years old soon. But I was a very young age, I've always loved art, drawing, writing. It made me feel good because I could go somewhere else. It was an escape from the world that I was living in at the time. I was born in a tenement building on the south side of Glasgow, and there was a lot of gangs there, and we got involved in the gangs and was put in a few detention centres along my young life for being with the wrong crowd as well and stealing, and that was at the age of 9. And I was drinking as well, drinking and smoking cigarettes at 9 years old. It was like I was a little wild dog. I was 15 years old. I was really drunk actually, and I kicked a baker's shop door in because I saw all these cakes and bread in the window, and I'm drunk and I'm not saying it. These are all fakes, they're ornaments, dummies. I kicked the door in and cut on my leg and got in, and they were all dummies. And then the next thing the siren comes and the police drag me out and take me to the police station and tell me, you're going to jail now, you're not getting out of this. I was taken to court and my mother and some friends were up in the seating area, and the judge says, I'm sending you to prison for 2 years. I was like, what? My mum shouts out, you can't do that, she's only a child. And all the people up on the balcony were shouting, this is an injustice, you can't do this, you can't send her to a prison for trying to steal food that she didn't get. Anyway, they did send me to prison, they could do that and they did do it.
Heartbreakers that have fallen from the life I once knew. In the darkness I'm calling right through to you. In the darkness I'm falling like mangled mail in the pouring rain, and the soul keeps on calling on what has been done.
Now that to me was an injustice. Anyway, I'd get put in this adult prison. They locked me up in solitary confinement for 3 weeks because they didn't know what to do with children, which was traumatising more than anything you can imagine. I never wanted to kill myself till they put me in that room, and there's no toilet in the room, no running water, just a bed, a chair, a wee table and a wardrobe, and a little hatch on the door that I could look out and hear things and see things, and I wasn't allowed to speak to anybody.
And the soul keeps on calling on what has been done.
I got out of there eventually 2 years later. I was 17, going on 18. I met this guy, he was a jailbird. I thought I'd never had a boyfriend like that before or anything, and he wanted to marry me, and he was a bit older than me, and people says, don't marry this guy, he's a nutcase, he'll hurt you. I married this guy and he just battered me for that day I married him. Kicked my head in, black eyes every day, raped me, abused me, didn't care what he'd done to me, and kept me in, locked me in the house, put big bolts in the windows even. And when I was pregnant, he tried to kick his child, our child, out of me. And when I had my baby, he actually threatened to smash her onto a concrete floor in the kitchen. And then finally this guy done a serious crime. I took him to court as well, I jailed him for it, for what he'd done to me, and then I got away.
On what we all forever in ourselves, dark and lonely from the witch's spell, from life's compassion, I slip and I slide.
The damage that incarceration had done to me, the damage for the young life and the damage for his abuse, it all caught up on me and I cracked up actually, and I was took to a hospital a few times, and my little girl stayed with my mum, and then finally my little girl was took off me and I was sent to jail because I kept cracking up, drinking. I started attacking myself, hurting myself. I had this bipolar thing going on, I wanted to die. I didn't know how to deal with the trauma of all of that. It was like a big ball. How does this kid carry this around and deal with it? And back in the day, there was no help then. There wasn't a lot of psychologists, therapists like we have today. And the approach towards me wasn't good for me to speak to that person either. That played a big part in me closing myself in. But finally, I was in this hospital and they put me in a locked ward. That was a nightmare. Some of these people had parts of their brain that had been taken away. A lot of them were on electric shock treatment. I saw them getting in and out the room. They told me that's what was going to happen to me. And I said, you get my mother right now or I'm going right through that window. I said, and you better get her now, phone her up. And they did, they phoned my mother and she came to the hospital. So she got me out of there and I got a plastic bag and I put a few things in it and I hatched it to London. I got a one-way ticket with a Tesco bag.
Got a one-way ticket for any destination. Don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm not coming back. One-way ticket, best feeling that I ever had.
Started to go to AA meetings there, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I was only 19 and I was terribly ashamed when I walked into this meeting and all these older people were sitting in a circle saying their names. My name's Eve and I'm an addict, my name's Eve and I'm an alcoholic. And I was so ashamed I couldn't even spit those words out. But then I started to listen to their stories. They were telling us what they'd done when they were drunk, how they behaved, how terrible they were, how this alcohol and drugs was a disease, it was an addiction. So when I listened to their stories, that inspired me to get better, start thinking about myself, don't drink. Because drinking made me unwell and that's when all the trauma hit me hard and that's why I attacked myself. I met a few other girls who'd suffered worse domestic violence than I did. And that made me stronger as well, knowing I wasn't alone here. And we could all have something in common to talk about that made us feel more of a little group that we could express ourselves to each other. And it was from there on that I started to find organisations that I could go and be educated in.
Spent my whole life taking some crazy, crazy chances. No looking back, no second glances. One-way ticket, best feeling that I ever had.
31, when I met Gary, you know when you just know there's a nice thing between you there. And we haven't looked back, we've been together for 34 years. We've got a son, we've got a grandchild from that son as well.
It feels so good. Oh, I want a feeling to stay. And never
If
in my world.
Anybody was going to throw a lifeline at me, Gary was the lifeline. Most compassionate, beautiful person that you could ever meet. And just looked after me and the children all this time.
Back and full of love. And when you look at me that way.
We had a great connection, we knew that we loved each other, but for me it was a bit tougher to let go and trust as well. And it was time that told me this was a good man and I could trust you and I can love you because I'm starting to love me. And he would take me in the children places, beaches, holidays, and saying this is how we look after ourselves. We can go and play and we have a rest and just be with you. And that to me was something I wasn't used to now. And learning to love again after all the horror. Looking after myself was something that Gary was teaching me as well. His behaviour, his body language, how he went to work every day, how he supplied things for us. And then I thought, well, no, I want to do that too. I want to go and educate myself and help to look after all of us as well. And he just showed me a way that you can love.
Don't hold back that chemistry. It's like a lake. When we get that funny feeling, you and me, click, click, click.
He would run me around London looking for places that I could go to help me. He listened to me more than anybody about my life, and that's when he kept saying to me too, write a book, write a book. He really supported that, and so did his family. They gave me bits of computer. The computer came out and I had somebody, my brother gave me a mouse, somebody gave me a keyboard, and then somebody gave me a screen, so that's how I got to write the book. The governor, Lady Martha Bruce, has said to me once, you can lead, you're very good and you're a really good writer. And so did one of the teachers in the jail say to me, you're a good writer. You don't blossom it up, you just give us it, bang, you straight at us. We like that kind of writing. So that, in my darkest hours, helped me write that book, by the way, because feeling worthless and useless through what people had said to me through my life after jail, and I'm dyslexic as well, by the way, but I just thought, you know, I can do this. They said I'm good at it.
I'm trying hard, so hard in vain.
I'd done a lot of crying, you know, like hypothetically dying inside, but that was because it was coming out. So it was like, you had to pretend to be my own psychologist and say, look, you need to help her. She's a poor wee lassie. You need to get this out of her or she'll be destroyed for the rest of her life. And I don't want to be destroyed for the rest of my life. I've got a life and I've got good qualities here that I can share with the world and other people. So no, I didn't want to go down that road. I wanted to go up the road a bit further. I escaped a lot of the pain, the anger, you know, the psychological mental damage. Don't get me wrong, it will never go away. None of that ever goes away. You live with that every day. It's just about, you know, being with it and accepting that was who you were and having the courage to keep moving forward. And for that book on, I just didn't stop. I wanted more. I wanted to educate myself, I wanted to know, I wanted experience, and I wanted to help the vulnerable people just like me. Because when I was there in them prisons, jailed up for 2 years, there wasn't anybody. That's why I wanted to be a tutor as well, so I could show them, I believe in you, I can see what you've got. They tell me I can't paint, I can't draw even. I says, oh, come and sit down, you can do that, I'll show you what to do, I'll guide you. And they done it. Because when somebody believes in you, you can grow to big heights. All sorts come out of you, not just I'm a painter, I'm a drawer, I'm a sculptor, I'm singing songs, I'm writing songs, I'm playing a musical instrument, I'm speaking in the Houses of Parliament, I'm in the Queen Elizabeth Hall doing an exhibition, I'm talking in the Princess Diana Hall, I'm in this hall speaking, I'm all over London talking. These organisations were available for ex-prisoners, mental health. Like in Scotland there was nothing like that back in the day. So I got opportunities here in London that I would never have got back there. And it was through Gary's support as well and looking after me and just caring for me and getting me all sorts of different music because he knew I love music, and he bought me the guitar 34 years ago and he got me the amp and says, do your own stuff, do your own music. And I did, and never stopped since.
Healing wounds of war, but it's all up to us now. 'Cause it's not about the blame. 'Cause it's not about the blame.
Oh, they're just a little dream. I love, I love having these little grandchildren because I've been teaching them from they were all born how to paint, draw, sing, dance, work with clay, play musical instruments and be happy and take them places and tell them about our history, who we are, where we come from. I showed them how to dressmake as well, and they love that because I've recently made a dress out of rubbish, which is going to be, by the way, on the bus stop billboards in Camden Town, along with a painting I done called The Homeless People. They're going to be through Arlington House that I work with as a volunteer, so that'll be pretty cool that people will get to see the artwork that a lot of people don't get to see. Hope is the light at the end of the tunnel. You can only go in the dark so long. You can only go to the depth of the earth, the darkness of it, and there's no more below that. You've got to come back up to some sort of light. There's always a spark. It's like a light switch. Click, click. I was scared to look at myself because I was so ashamed of what I'd done to myself, tried to kill myself, tried to hurt myself, drinking myself to death, being in terrible places at terrible times, but I'm not, that's not anymore. I can love me now and truly love me and share that love.
Got a one-way ticket for any destination. Don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm not coming back. One-way ticket, best feeling that I ever had. One-way ticket, 'cause I know I ain't coming back. Spent my whole life taking some crazy, crazy chances. No looking back, no second glances.